Last month my car died. Not just broke down, died. Mechanic said it would cost more to fix than the car was worth. I needed a replacement immediately. No car meant no work. No work meant no income. I called my dad, stressed out of my mind, expecting sympathy. Maybe advice on getting a loan. You know what he said? He said, "Okay, so use your car fund." I was confused. What car fund? He paused. Then he said something that made me realize I'd completely misunderstood how my family thinks about money. He said, "You don't have a car fund? Your car was 12 years old. You didn't prepare for this?" I felt stupid. But then he explained, "Every car dies eventually. That's not an emergency. That's a certainty. Emergencies are things you can't predict. Car replacement is predictable. You just didn't predict it." That conversation changed everything for me. Because here's what I realized. Most people experience financial stress because they treat predictable expenses like surprises. But Jewish families operate differently. They anticipate. They prepare. They build systems that absorb shocks before shocks become crises. It's not that they have more money. It's that they've structured their finances to expect problems instead of hoping problems won't come. And that preparation, that mental and financial cushioning, it creates calm when everyone else is panicking. Today, I'm revealing exactly how Jewish families handle financial stress differently. Not with more income or less expenses, with mindset and systems that transform stress into manageable challenges. 5 specific approaches that keep people calm when money gets tight, when unexpected bills appear, when income disappears. This isn't about being rich, it's about being prepared, and preparation changes everything. But first, I want to know where you're watching from. Drop your city in the comments right now. London, Houston, São Paulo, Bangkok, Tel Aviv? I'm building a global community here. And your location matters because financial stress looks different everywhere. Type your city below. Let's see how worldwide this conversation reaches. First way Jews handle financial stress differently. They expect it. Not in a pessimistic way, in a realistic way. Most people build their financial lives assuming everything will go smoothly. Job stays stable. Health stays good. Car keeps running. Nothing major breaks. And when reality inevitably disrupts those assumptions, they fall apart. But Jewish families, especially those carrying generational trauma of economic collapse, displacement, persecution, they build their finances assuming disruption will come. Not if, when. My grandmother kept what she called the disaster fund, separate from emergency savings, separate from retirement. This was money for true disasters, loss of income, major health crisis, needing to leave quickly. She never touched it, died with it still sitting there. Some people said she wasted money keeping cash she never used, but she didn't see it as waste. She saw it as insurance that let her sleep at night. The fund wasn't about using the money, it was about knowing it existed. That knowledge removed stress before stress could form. This expectation mindset changes how you structure finances. You don't spend every dollar you earn assuming income continues. You build buffers. Large buffers. 6 months expenses, a year if possible. Not because you're paranoid, because you're prepared. And when stress comes, when job loss happens, when medical bills arrive, you're not in crisis mode. You're in execution mode. You activate the plan you already built. That's why Jewish families stay calm. They expected this. They prepared for this. The surprise isn't surprising. Second way Jews handle financial stress. They separate emotional reaction from financial response. Here's what most people do when financial stress hits. They panic. They catastrophize. They make fast decisions driven by fear. Sell investments at the bottom, take terrible loans, cut everything including things that matter. Jewish approach is different. Feel the fear, acknowledge the stress, but don't let emotion drive financial decisions. Create separation between what you feel and what you do. I watched my uncle lose his business during 2008 recession. Devastating. 30 years of work gone. He was stressed. He was scared. But he didn't panic. He sat down with his wife, reviewed their financial position, made a plan, reduced expenses strategically, activated emergency savings, started looking for work without desperation. He processed the emotions separately from the logistics. That separation saved him from making fear-based mistakes that would have made things worse. This requires practice. Most people have never trained this skill. When money stress appears, emotion and action are fused together. But Jewish families practice this separation. Shabbat dinners become places to discuss financial challenges calmly. Community provides perspective that keeps individuals from spiraling. There's this cultural understanding that stress is temporary, but bad decisions during stress are permanent. So you pause, you think, you consult, you wait for the initial panic to pass before making major moves. That patience during stress is a superpower. Third approach to handling financial stress. Jews rely on community, not just personal resources. Western culture teaches financial independence. Handle your own problems. Don't burden others. But Jewish culture operates differently. Your financial stress is the community's concern, not because they're nosy, because communities survive by supporting members through difficult times. This creates a safety net beyond savings accounts. When my cousin lost his job, his synagogue network activated immediately. People sent job leads. Someone offered consulting work. Another connected him to their company's hiring manager. He had income within 3 weeks. Not because he was lucky, because he was connected. Jewish communities function as informal insurance systems. You support others when they're down. They support you when you're down. This reciprocal network reduces financial stress because you're never truly alone in solving problems. This also works for information. Financial stress often comes from not knowing what to do. Jewish communities share knowledge freely. Someone went through bankruptcy? They'll explain the process. Someone negotiated medical debt? They'll share strategies. Someone restructured their business? They'll give advice. This collective wisdom means you're not figuring everything out alone during your most stressed moments. You're accessing decades of combined experience. That access reduces stress because the path forward becomes clearer, faster. Fourth way Jewish families handle financial stress differently. They protect certain things no matter what. Most people, when money gets tight, cut everything. Cancel subscriptions, stop eating out, eliminate fun. And they include education, community donations, healthcare. Everything gets cut equally. But Jewish approach prioritizes differently. Some things are non-negotiable regardless of financial pressure. Kids' education doesn't stop. Community support doesn't stop. Healthcare doesn't stop. These are protected categories. Why? Because short-term financial stress shouldn't destroy long-term values. If you pull kids from school to save money, you might solve today's problem by creating tomorrow's bigger problem. If you stop all giving during tough times, you weaken the community network you might need later. Jewish families identify what must be protected, then cut everything else first. This creates hierarchy of importance that guides decisions during stress. You're not cutting blindly, you're cutting strategically around core values. My parents went through a rough financial period when I was young. I didn't know until years later because they protected my experience. They cut vacation, eating out, new clothes, their own entertainment, but my tutoring continued. Summer camp continued. Music lessons continued. They absorbed the stress so I didn't have to. That protection wasn't just about me. It was about ensuring short-term hardship didn't compromise long-term investment in their kids' future. That's strategic stress management. Fifth principle that keeps Jewish families calm during financial stress. They view financial problems as temporary, not permanent. Most people, when money gets tight, catastrophize. This is it. I'm ruined. I'll never recover. They spiral into permanent thinking about temporary situations. But Jewish families, shaped by history of repeatedly losing everything and rebuilding, understand that financial problems are almost always temporary if you handle them correctly. Jobs can be found, debt can be paid, businesses can be rebuilt. It's not permanent unless you make permanent mistakes during temporary stress. My grandfather lost everything twice. Once fleeing Europe, once in a business failure. Both times he rebuilt. Not because he was special, because he maintained perspective. He knew money comes and goes. What matters is not panicking, not making desperate decisions, not burning relationships, not giving up. Those are the permanent mistakes people make during temporary problems. The financial issue itself is usually solvable if you stay rational. This perspective is taught young. Jewish kids grow up hearing stories of ancestors who lost everything and recovered, who started over at 50, who rebuilt after disaster. These aren't cautionary tales. They're proof that financial setbacks are survivable. This generational knowledge creates psychological resilience. When stress comes, you're not thinking this is the end. You're thinking this is hard, but I'll get through it like they did. That mindset keeps you calm, keeps you strategic, keeps you moving forward instead of freezing. Let me bring this together. Jewish families handle financial stress better, not because they avoid it, but because they prepare for it. Separate emotion from response, lean on community, protect core values, and maintain perspective that problems are temporary. These aren't genetic advantages, they're learned behaviors. cultural wisdom passed down through generations that faced repeated financial catastrophes and survived by staying calm and strategic. You can adopt this approach. Build larger buffers than feel necessary. Practice separating fear from action. Build genuine community that supports during hard times. Identify your non-negotiables before stress forces rush decisions. Remember that financial problems are almost always temporary. These mindset shifts don't eliminate stress. They transform how you experience it, from overwhelming panic to manageable challenge. Now tell me in the comments, what financial stress are you dealing with right now? Or what financial stress are you afraid might come? Be specific. This community helps each other through real challenges with real experience. I read every comment, and so do thousands of others who might have solved what you're facing. Drop it below now. Hit that like button because this message needs to reach people in financial panic who think they're alone. Your engagement spreads this to someone who needs it today. Subscribe because the next video explores a Jewish money principle that seems cold, but is actually the most compassionate approach to wealth. It'll challenge everything you think about helping others financially.